You're listening to Rocket Night.
Hi, Cherise. This is Lester Chambers of the legendary Chambers Brothers. I'd like to thank you from the bottom of my heart for caring for musicians and letting the whole entire world know we rock at night.
Are you ready? Hey, tonight I'm gonna take you on a little trip. We're going down south by the mighty Mississippi. I'm gonna take you to a place where lights live a dim. Bring your mother, your brother, and your best friend. I'm gonna show you where they dance out in the street. They'll tell you all about your body heat. Not gonna talk about it, just gonna do it. Get on down if you feel up good. Now get on down.
Hello, I'm Sharice, and I'm with Rocket Night, and I'm speaking to Jaeger, and you've got a brand new EP out called Fever Dream Anthology, and I really like the ones, well, actually I like a few of the songs, the Sao Paulo Liars Club. Let's talk about that. Very intriguing. I'll tell you what I wrote here. I love your humor. I noticed you have a lot of humor throughout your songs. They're very smart, and it's almost like you're writing prose poetry on a dark side, but with an upbeat tempo.
Yeah, that's I get a lot of influence from like artists like Bare Naked Ladies and Ben Folds Five, where that's kind of that alternative '90s pop, where it's a little bit not only off the rails, but it really it says a lot of things that are pretty deep that you wouldn't think it would.
hmm Well, it's funny because you're, in a sense, it's almost like indie alt music that you're doing, but then your singing is almost like pop punk.
Yeah,
The style.
I guess that was probably I mean, I listened to a lot of Beatles and Bruce Springsteen when I was younger, but when I was in my kind of figuring out who I was in middle school and stuff like that, pop punk was the first thing that I latched onto, because it was the first time that I heard distortion and like that, and I saw that with bands like Newfound Glory and Alistair and Midtown, that music didn't have to be so pretty and well orchestrated. It could just be a emotion essentially, and you could hear the cracks in their voices in some of those early recordings, and I really loved that because it spoke to me. Just because, hey, I feel like I'm not a complete person growing up, but it's something that I'm going through, and these guys seem to get it.
Well, I noticed a lot of the subject matter that you have on the EP. It is kind of dark. It's kind of personal, and you really do paint a visual story. I mean, I can picture the stuff that you write about. I can picture it in my head. Have you always enjoyed writing prose, or how did you get into the whole music thing?
I've always, even as a young kid, my parents told me I used to just love rhythm, and that's kind of where my initial love for music came. And then when I realized that music could be as so expressive, like even listening to like Springsteen and the Beatles, and then kind of getting into the pop punk side of things and playing more instruments, because I played like trumpet in elementary school all through high school, and played drums as well. And I taught myself guitar right, I was probably about 14 or 15, and it just kind of opened up a world to me that I had all these kind of messy thoughts in my head, and the only way to kind of make sense of them was just to put them down on paper. And that's kind of how my writing style is, and
Mm-hmm.
You there?
Yeah, I'm here.
And I like to kind of capture what happens before you make that decision.
Ah, okay.
So it kind of leaves you in a little bit more vulnerable spot because you see if someone that's still kind of unsure of which way they're leaning, but you know that they realize that there's still a little bit of positivity in that because.
Well, it's kind of funny. The beat or the tone of your music is very lively and happy, but yet the subject matter is talking about relationships or being lonely, or like the lyrics for the Sao Paulo Liars Club. You are so attractive, but I'm so lonely. Everyone is running up and down the halls. This hotel is getting old. I stare at the ceiling. I'm assuming this happened to you, this experience.
Yeah, so it's kind of an amalgamation of there's a time in my life where I was traveling quite a bit by myself, and it's people think about traveling as being a really great experience where you get to see a lot of different things, and you do have that aspect, but there's also the side where if you're by yourself and traveling a whole lot, you spend a lot of time staring at the hotel mini bar,
Mm-hmm.
just being alone with yourself, and that can be it's enlightening, but I think also too it can be scary.
I know what you mean. It took me a long time to be able to eat by myself at a restaurant, to be honest. I always felt like I would hurry up and eat the food quickly and get out of there.
Yeah. Oh, I hear you on that too. I mean, it took me, I think growing into my adulthood, that was probably the toughest thing, was being comfortable with being alone with yourself, because I mean, growing up and kind of in my early 20s, always have roommates around, and
Mm-hmm.
never really like on your own, so to say. But that's definitely getting comfortable with
Mm-hmm.
kind of silence and.
Well, it's kind of funny when I eat by myself. I don't know what to do with myself other than eat. At least when you're talking to someone, you're having a conversation. But I feel like, do I look out the window? Do I look at the food? What do I do? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I hear you on that.
Now, I see you have it looks like you have another album before that called Separation Sounds. That's a full album
Yeah.
that came out, and this is an EP. I listened to some of the stuff from Separation Sounds on iTunes, and it seems more folky, kind of indie rock. Your new stuff seems more alternative, harder.
Yeah, I've always felt within myself as an artist, I kind of have this Jekyll and Hyde kind of feeling, battling inside of me. At some point, I've always really admired the rawness of just, an acoustic guitar
Mm-hmm.
and voice, and great troubadours like Billy Bragg and,
Oh yeah.
Woody Guthrie, those guys, and they can cut through the core really fast, and there's a lot of vulnerability in that. And I've really, over most of my career, I really wanted to explore that. And, with a full band dynamic, which I have now, it's essentially a collective voice carrying a message. But in my career, I guess, I never really felt comfortable with my own message to bring to the table to make a collective voice with other people.
Mm-hmm.
Until recently, it's been a pretty interesting kind of transition, and I definitely like where it's led so far. I've been really lucky to have such a great counterpart in Vic Chan, who's my drummer, and really flesh out these tunes in a completely different way than could be imagined.
Now, is he traveling with you now too?
Yes. I'm actually sitting with him in the car, and we have a bass player with us as well.
Oh, okay. Because I think I saw a video on the internet with you and Vic, and it made me think of the Bots.
Yeah.
Has anybody ever said that? Because that's kind of what it made me think of. You're.
No, surprisingly, no. That's a
I love them. I saw them and photographed them earlier in the summer. So.
oh cool.
hmm
Cool.
Now, I was looking on the internet, as I always do research, and I guess are you a full-time musician now? You had a different career before, correct?
I'm trying to become a full-time musician. I still have my day job, but I've been lucky enough that they appreciate what I do to give me a little bit of leeway to come out here on the road and be able to share my real first love with the masses.
A lot of people that I speak with have day jobs too. It's kind of a practical thing we all have to do.
Yeah.
And until our dream becomes a full-time, reality and everything. Now, you live in Texas, but I guess you're from the Northeast originally?
Yeah, I'm from Maine originally. I grew up there, spent 23 years of my life there, and then moved down to Texas about 6 years ago. And it's been always great too, because my mom was born in West Texas and grew up in Lubbock. My grandma lives in Dallas, so I've always had a very strong connection to the state, and it's always just kind of felt like a second home to me.
Mm-hmm. Well, you probably would go there on vacation.
Yes.
So it was familiar, because that seems almost like a culture shock going from Maine to Texas.
Yeah, I think there is a little bit of a culture shock, but I still think there's a lot of similarities, because it's in the New England area, especially northern New England. You get a lot of people that have a very, very strong sense of pride of where they're from, and Texas, you have that as well. I mean, they want to secede, so sometimes. So it's I think there's a lot of similarities like that, and there are a lot of really hardworking northern New Englanders. That's how I kind of feel like I got my work ethic from, and there's a lot of Texans that do it as well. And I think those similarities are pretty prevalent, and there's also such amazing music that comes out of both areas of the country, just spanning all genres, which is great.
My sister lives in Houston, so
Oh, okay.
yeah, so I'm very familiar with Texas, and there's a lot of interesting music. Of course, you have Austin with the blues, and you have kind of the Tex-Mex influence here and there, and it really is interesting. I mean, there's a big variety. So if you picked up any of the Texas stuff, good for you.
Yeah, and with that too, I lived in the Metroplex in Dallas-Fort Worth for a while, and I've been in Houston for a couple of years now. And what I love about it is that each of these cities are just so diverse in their musical stylings and their creativity. And it's really amazing to me how the mentality just can shift, even though you're only 4 hours away. But I love it. I love everything. It's helped expand my horizons, and I think it ultimately has made me a more creative person.
It sounds like you found your home.
Yeah.
And sounds like it's been an inspiration for you, too. Sometimes things come full circle. Maybe that's where you were meant to be.
Yeah.
There's a strong music community there, too, so it might be a pretty good place for you. What is your music writing process? Do you write the music first, or do you have lyrics in mind? How do you do it?
Usually it's kind of, my writing process is kind of all over the place. Usually what I'll do is I kind of write in bits and pieces. So whether it's like a guitar lick or a chord progression that I like, I'll probably hang on to it, mess around with it for a little bit, and then, I won't touch it for maybe a couple months. And same with my lyrics, I'll write in fragments, and then, I'll come back to something. Because I like to have it be more observational writing and just all at once, because I think that it also helps me be able to process situations a little bit better if I'm not just kind of stuck in the moment and kind of that emotionally fueled side of things.
Well, when you write the songs, or do you write all the different parts? Because I noticed I really like the bass line on For the Jilted, for the Broken.
Hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, that was I loved it, because when we went to the studio with Ace Enders of the Early November, he ended up playing bass on the track and on all the tracks, and he's a brilliantly phenomenal musician, and he has such a great ear. And we had an idea and concept for the song, and we're trying to think of a bass line to go along with it, but he just whipped out that kind of walking, funky little thing that sounds very alternative 90s.
That's
Awesome.
exactly the feel I got. I wrote that down. Alternative rock feel, kind of grungy early 90s. Exactly.
And I think that was really one of the biggest missing pieces of that song, that it just kind of came to him, which was great. It was something that I know I couldn't really articulate what was missing, and Vic couldn't either. But we knew that there was something missing, and that was the perfect button for it. Song.
That's what's nice about collaborating,
Yes, yes.
because everybody contributes to the missing piece. I wrote down Rotten Apple of My Eye. It has almost a 50s beat.
Yeah. I love that song because my musical tastes kind of go all over the place. But another reason why I think I love Texas is I was such a big fan of Buddy Holly, and I still am to this day.
Well, he's a Texan.
Yeah.
Or was.
And just that musical style, and that he essentially created rock and roll, and laid the groundwork for all the great bands like the Stones and the Beatles, and I've always been kind of loved that era, and I wanted to try to write a song like that, and it just kind of came out that way.
Yeah.
I guess.
I picked up on it, and if you think about, like you said, Buddy Holly, Willie Nelson's from Texas. There's a lot of good songwriters. When you
Yeah.
think about it, classics that are, that were written there. This is kind of funny. The first song, the Sao Paulo Liars Club. I keep going back to that because I listen to it a lot. I really like it. I saw a review and somebody said they thought it was kind of a 90s sound. I didn't think that at all, maybe because I'm older. But to me, it had a retro 60s sound.
Yeah, there was I was talking to someone else, and they mentioned that it sounded very, very like late 60s, early 70s, which I kind of like that vibe with it. It wasn't really, I was been trying to pinpoint where I got that kind of influence from, and I think sonically Ace helped shape that, but I definitely hear a little bit more retro kind of feel to it, especially I'd say definitely like 1968 or 1960.
Well, that's exactly what I picked up on. I put down Small Faces or Kinks.
Yeah.
The British Invasion sound, because I'm a fan of that. And as soon as I heard it, I thought this has a Brit sound to it, which I really, really like. I put down a great melody, British Invasion sound, and I really like your voice. You have a good voice, and it really blends well with the guitars and everything. I really like your EP. That's one reason I wanted to talk with you.
Thank you. That means a lot to me. It's I'd say it's been such a very interesting process. I mean, transitioning not only to a full band kind of sound, but also, tackling some subject matter in a different way that for me than I normally have, especially on like separation sounds, which was kind of trying to get a little bit more, I'd say, like minimal and a little more raw.
That's exactly kind of what I picked up on too. kind of, I put down kind of ragged or edgy, kind of raw, the way it comes across. I mean, even like some of the melodies are smooth and your voice is smooth, but then it still has an edginess to it.
Yeah,
If you know what I mean, yeah.
yeah, and with Separation Sounds, that was kind of a not really a concept album, but I tried to position it as a dialogue between two people in their relationship failing, and they weren't really listening to each other.
Mm-hmm.
And so I like that, and I really want to include a lot of that rawness because it's not.
It's not a pretty thing. The subject matter is raw, so yeah, you don't want it too refined.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I picked up on it. It is almost like a concept album. It's all about relationships and stuff like that, and it's very honest. I mean, your writing is really honest. It's what people think, but they don't really say.
Yeah.
And that's a good thing. Do you have some other songs that are in the works? Maybe like a full album coming out?
Yeah, we're so on this tour. We're actually going to be playing a new song that I just wrote a couple weeks ago. That I'd say it's a nice transition to next steps after Fever Dream Anthology, and I think definitely we're probably going to be recording probably either middle of 2016 or towards the end of 2016, and it's I think I've started writing a couple things, but I think you're going to see kind of a little bit more of the same kind of vibe, but maybe taking it a little bit different direction,
Mm-hmm.
which will be kind of interesting. From what I've kind of pieced together so far, that's how I'd probably describe it the best.
Anything big on the horizon for 2016 or hopes or plans?
We're definitely going to, as you know, we're finishing off this year with this Southwest tour, and definitely, hopefully, we're going to be hitting the road again in 2016. Do something a little bit more extensive and hit up the East Coast and maybe a little bit of Middle America as well.
Mm-hmm.
So those are kind of our big plans. And
any videos? Any more videos coming out?
I think we have a couple great ideas that we're still trying to parse out a little bit. So
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully, I'd like to see another video come out probably in March or April of next year.
Mm-hmm.
And there's some of the ideas that Vic and I have been throwing around have been pretty cool, and I really hope that we can make something happen with those.
Is there anything that you would want people to know about you that hasn't been written or said?
I think that as an artist, I think one of the things that I like to capture, as you can tell, is it's the honesty and that it's okay to be vulnerable and know that, and that vulnerability doesn't mean that you're weak. And I really am ultimately, and my lyrics are a little dark, but I'm a pretty positive kind of guy.
Mm-hmm.
Because for me, it's not about right or wrong answers. It's everything that happens to you makes you who you are and puts you where you end up. And being human is such a hard thing. Kind of going back to all the recent tragedies, that it's sometimes we need a little bit of positivity. That
True.
we're not terrible people for making a certain choice or another.
And lastly, is there anything about you that people would be really surprised to know? Any bit of trivia or anything unique?
Oh gosh. Let's see. I am a really big Taylor Swift fan.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I love Taylor Swift. It's hard to describe. Her albums I get them, and they're perfect. The production is great, the songwriting's great, and I've been known to sing a couple Taylor Swift covers during shows.
Okay. All right. Well, listen, Jaeger, it was really, really nice speaking with you. And I guess you just started the tour today, correct? In
Yes.
California. So you're going to work your way back to Texas and be careful on the road, naturally. And good luck to you. And I really do enjoy your EP, and I hope to hear more good music coming out from you.
Great. Thanks so much, Sharice, for your time. It's been a blast talking to you.
Oh, I'm glad.
You're listening to Rock at Night.
Thanks for the intro melody. It's called Get On Down by Billy Bass Alford. Thanks.